Good morning, everybody. We are back with another haircut tutorial. Today we are going to do a number one fade on the sides, tapered neckline, tapered sideburns, and a number two with the grain on top. Let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, we're going to comb the entire head out, make sure we are aware of any nicks or moles or anything he might have. Once everything is combed out, we put our number one guard on our clipper, the lever all the way closed, and we are going to go up just a little above the ear, and we are going to create our first guideline. We're going to do a slight drop in the back, so it doesn't go up too high in the back, but it's going to be a number one fade all the way around. And this is using our Babyliss Pro clipper and trimmer. So with this client's hair texture, his hair is very curly, but it's more of a loose curl. So as you can see, I'm going over the same spot with this one over and over again because it's hard to make sure that it's all even down there. So what I'm doing is just going at hitting it at different angles to just make sure the hair is laying down nice and smooth, and there aren't any dark areas that I'm missing. So, but we're creating that number one all the way around the sides and back, slight drop in the back, and then once we have a nice even number one line all the way around, we're gonna go ahead and start our fade. All right, and now once we have our line put in, we're going to go ahead and go to the top to take the top down to the desired length that the client has asked for. And today it's going to be a 2 with the grain, so we want to make sure we keep combing the hair and coming down with our number two guard on our clipper, lever closed, and we're going to keep going down over and over again while combing out the hair because, like I said, this is curly hair texture. It's a loose curl, so it's harder to snag sometimes. So you want to go over it multiple times to make sure it's all laying down nice and even and smooth. And around the cowlick area, you really want to make sure that you're combing the hair in the direction that it is growing, because you don't want to accidentally take the two in the opposite direction um, and cause a patch in their hair. So make sure you keep combing the hair in that area to make sure you know exactly where the hair is growing before you start to cut in the cowlick area. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and start with our fade on the left side first. We're going to put our 1.5 guard on our lever all the way open, and we're going to go up about a ½ inch. All right, and now we're going to go up about a 1/4 inch with the same guard on. The lever just closed this time. So 1.5 guard on the clipper, lever closed, going up about a 1/4 inch using mostly the corner of the clipper. And we're going to play with that lever kind of in between that 1/2 and 1/4 inch that we are going with the 1.5. Because that way we're just making sure, just using our best judgment and just trying to lighten up the area as much as possible with that longer guard. All right, and now we are going to throw our number one guard on our clipper, lever all the way open, and we're going to use the corner of that clipper only, and we're going to start to blend in that line in between the 1.5 lever closed and the number one lever closed at the bottom. And so we're also going to play around with the lever between it being open and closed to make sure that there is a nice consistent blend and flow going down into that number one. All right, and now to blend into the top, we're going to take our number two guard lever all the way open first. It's not going to take off much, but it will remove just a slight bit of weight. We're going to go up, don't go too high. We're just going to slightly use the corner of it and remove any weight we can with that. Then we're going to close our lever and we're going to kind of just play around with that as we use our best judgment and start to see the area kind of lighten up. Make sure you're using your mirror to make sure that you are cutting everything evenly and you're not seeing anything differently than what's in the mirror. So sometimes it's good to just take a step back and look at it and also check it out in the mirror. All right, and then we throw our 1.5 guard back on, lever closed, and then we're going to open it again. And we're using just the corner because the blade cuts the hair, the corner thins out the hair. So right now we are just blending, so we're thinning out the hair. So use the corner of your clipper, and then we're going to flip it around, and this will just smooth out the hair so it lays down nicely. So we got our lever closed, and we have the clipper going down with the grain to smooth out the curls. And then we're just doing any final detail work. If there's anything else that you may see off after checking it out in the mirror, after taking a step back and looking at the haircut, you can switch out between different guards, different levers, and using mostly the corner of your clipper because you're probably just going to be doing some very slight detail work. You just go ahead and use your best judgment. And yeah, don't be scared. It's all about confidence. And if you guys just practice what I'm trying to teach you step by step, you guys should have no problem after some consistency and some time with different hair textures. All right, so we are very happy and comfortable with the other side being nice and blended. Now we move on to the opposite side. I like to work left, right, and then back when I do my fades. So that's what we're doing now. We're going ahead and going to do the exact same steps on the right hand side. It's going to be 1.5 lever open and then lever closed, and then it's going to be number one lever open going down to lever closed, and then number 2.5 two lever open towards the top, and then lever closed and going down with the grain to smooth out any curls and do any final detail work at the end. And sometimes if you guys are unsure if your fade is really there or not, it helps to go ahead and line up the client on that one side because then you can see the whole haircut put together, and it helps you give a better helps your eye give a better look at the haircut to see if that fade is really actually blended nicely or if it still could use a little bit more work. So if you're unsure, line up one side just to see what it looks like after the lineup. But you guys are going to go ahead and repeat all those same steps on this same side, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the back, and then we'll move on to the taper. All right, both sides look great. We've moved on to the back now. Even though I'm not gonna keep talking over what I just did, since we're doing the exact same thing on every single side, I still think it helps to pay attention to how I'm cutting and the wrist movement and the corners, the usage of the corners, and when I'm using the whole blade and stuff like that. It can be kind of difficult to see sometimes in the video, but I still think it could still help you guys out a lot. So I do recommend watching this whole video all the way through just to make sure you don't miss anything important. And please, if you get a chance, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. All right, everyone. Now that the fade is done, we're going to move on to the tapers. So I did say we're going to taper the neckline and the sideburns. So we're doing a bald taper in the neckline. So we got our trimmer, and we are going to bald out the bottom. Make sure not to go too high on the neckline. Some people go too high, and it ends up being like almost like a fade, like a high fade. But you really want to stay um, low as possible. You want to bring up the line to where it's darkest at, but like not too high. And yeah, where I put my line at is a good spot to. You want to try to stay below the ear, the where the ears are on both sides. So you see on his right ear right there at the bottom of his ear. As long as that first line stays below that, then as you fade up, it should be good to go. But anyways, balled out the bottom with our trimmer. Then we come up with our clipper open halfway. Then we go with our clipper closed all the way using the corner. And then we throw our half guard on and we open and close it and use our corner. And we're just blending into that number one. So we don't need to go past that half guard clip that we're putting on our clipper. And yeah, and it's not too hard. His hair is pretty light back there and very easy to fade. So there goes the neck taper. So I'm not lining up everything yet, but here is just a slight lineup on the neckline just to put that back area together, and then we're going to move on to the front. Like I was saying before, with the curly hair, you sometimes need to hit it from different angles and go back over it a few times just to make sure it is all even and laying down flat. So I went back with this number one over some areas that I thought were a little bit dark. Now we're going to go ahead and taper the sideburns in. We're going to close the lever all the way with no guard. Go up just, about a quarter inch, nothing too high. We're starting pretty low on it. And then we're going to go ahead and open the lever just about halfway, go up a little bit more, and then put our half guard on. And that's going to be the highest guard that we use, fading into the one. This is a very low taper just to blend into the skin on the sides, and then we're going to line up the perimeter. Okay, we're going to go ahead and line up these arches on the sides. So when you're lining up, you want to make sure, especially with curly hair like his, you want to make sure you're constantly combing or brushing the hair down to make sure it is laying down as flat as possible. We're going to start at the top of the arch, and then we're going to come back down to the bottom of the arch, and we're going to use the corner of our trimmer only and bring them both to meet in the middle, and that will create that nice C swoop arch that everyone usually likes when coming around that area. And then we're going to, once you've made the line, clean up all the excess hair that's hanging out around it, and that will make sure you go against the grain, and that will make sure to have your lineup stand out as best as possible. Opposite side doing the same thing, lining up the back, then we're going to taper in the sideburns, and then we're going to line up the arch. And to make sure that both arches are even on both sides, you want to look your client dead on, dead center in the middle. Um, Tilt them and tilt their head up. You can get a good look at the arches and make sure that they are even on both sides when they come around. And once you've got the top part of the arch, both points symmetrical, then doing the rest of it, bringing the bottom half up to connect to the top half is very easy, and you can just go from there. Best way to line up the front of the hairline is to make sure to comb the hair down first. Once you've done that, start from the middle and work your way out. Doesn't matter which way, just work your way out to one direction and then come back to the middle and work your way out to the other direction. And then make sure you are keeping the line as symmetrical as possible. And then you'll go to the side, you'll line up the sides to meet the arch and then to meet the top of the hairline. And then just complete it and bring it all together. Um, as long as the lineup is not pushed back and close to being symmetrical, you don't have to play around with it too much. You're going to do most of your detail work with the straight razor at the end, and that will make sure that the lineup is perfect. You'll get different angles of it, different views of it, but just make sure the lineup is not pushed back and comb the hair down and follow the natural lineup as much as possible. We went ahead and gave him a shampoo, so I'm just drying the hair and brushing it down. You can see his waves are coming in pretty nicely. After the shampoo, we're just apply a little bit of spritz to hold the hair down. We're going to go back over the lineup one more time to grab any loose hairs that may be hanging over. So that way when he's at home and wakes up in the morning and brushes his hair down, there's no extra excess hair hanging over, and his lineup will have more longevity, and he will appreciate the haircut lasting and looking as great as it does after a shower. Some quick little side notes. This is the final cut right here, and my client does have a few light spots on his head, so I didn't put any patches in there. I just want to let you guys know his hair naturally grows like that as he's starting to thin out in certain areas. But this is an all natural haircut, no added enhancements or anything. Hope you guys appreciate this video. If you do, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. I'd appreciate that, and I will catch you guys in the next one.